You want to know what's more depressing than our loss versus Lyon this past week? This was the original footage of what I did for this episode of Harbor. I had view after view after view, and the conversation was fantastic, and it was awesome to be outside. And my dumbass somehow had the microphone muted. So there's no audio with that whatsoever. And that pains me, because not only do I have to record this now, but dude, I had some points in that shit. Damn. But look, as is evident by the C9 TL matchup this week, sometimes you want things to be in a perfect situation, a 6-0, 6-0 matchup, or audio on a video. And sometimes that's not the reality of what you get, but you make do with it. So let's get into this week's episode. Let's bring back one of my favorite segments, shall we? What the fuck happened in that Lyon series that ended up with us losing it? Starting with game one, it very much was a single play that snowballed everything out of control. And that was the early on bot lane play where Lyon and CoreJJ got double killed.
Happening here, so you can go back and check this game out. I'm going to send this one straight back to the cast.
This is not a good trade for TL, unless we can get the Ezreal down really
much,
far.
Fellas, as bottom lane is getting spicy. CoreJJ forced to flash away. Berserker's ready for the flash follow. It's first blood and make it a 2-for-1 deep.
Lyon notably said on pros that this was just simply a mistake from their part. And what happened after that moment was a cascade of issues that all stemmed from that individual point. We got dove bot side. Jose Dioto was trying to keep up his farm and trying to do the game plan in general that we had, which was, hey, just get to the mid game at an even gold state and all is perfectly fine. But whenever that cascading effect in bot lane happens, that becomes next to impossible. By the time that we got to a decent fighting state, we were so far down that it wasn't even funny, and we stood no chance. So, look, this is what it is. You hate to say that like one play really does affect it, but it did in this situation. I do also want to note that the Ashe Seraphine combo seems to be giving us some problems in general. Not just obviously within the lane of this game, but even beyond that. We have lost 2 straight matchups now with this. Going back to the FlyQuest series that we ended up losing in EWC qualifiers, we, for whatever reason, couldn't figure out how to win with this. And I don't know if that's just because this comp or like the style of comp in general relies on good mid-game macro decision-making, because you need to stay with a team and pick the right fights and fight on the right timers all together. And just maybe that's our problem. Like maybe it's just too slow of a comp at the moment, given the other things that have evolved in the meta. I don't know. We just can't seem to figure it out. The last time we won with this, I think we had the Yone mid. And Quid obviously is a little bit better on the Yone than he is on any of the other champions that we seem to be playing with this particular style. Game 2 is not actually a negative, what the fuck happened, but rather a positive one. A Jose MVP highlight reel.
So, good
please mark him.
Jose Dioto gets hit with a rune prison.
All right,
Charm's not quite there.
Charm is down. We can press in.
So
Oh, big play. But we just leave Lyon alone? Okay, he's fine though. He lives.
Lyon has lost the Guardian Angel on their jungler. They've lost their mid laner already. TL standing strong.
Oh, Castle's gonna be able to get Lyon. No, he's not.
Yes. Lyon fall apart.
Oh my god.
Team Liquid washes him straight out of mid lane.
You've heard me talking about this for a bit now. Like, no stranger to that conversation. However, broadcast and beyond really seems to be having it now. It seems like the community favorite is Jose at the moment. Vulcan just barely behind him. And there was a conversation around Inspired possibly having it for a bit, but I think Jose pretty clearly slammed the door after this series. It's not that obviously he didn't win, and Inspired very much so is a leader on that team, but when you look at the Skarner play here, in a draft that honestly I didn't even care for the Skarner to begin with, he played it very well. He kept finding the picks that were needed to win some of these mid-game fights, send us in to game 3, where then we have to look at the real what?
Lyon need to try to defend
Morgan does have upgraded TP, but he's already there in the fight.
But Morgan is making his way over.
Making his way downtown. He doesn't need to walk fast because he's already there.
trying to hold this defensive position here in the brush as the rest of Team Liquid continues DPSing.
Saint's going to try and go over the wall.
To about 5,000 HP. Keep your eyes on Inspired, looking to enter into the fight. Paranoia's already going to get dropped. Inspired looking for his angle, seeing if now's the time to jump in.
There's the angle, but they read it well. Yon's still alive for now, but he's dead.
But he is dead.
Fuck.
Saint finds the kill. Inspired and Saint looking to finish off the Baron, but Jose Diono's ready to contest it. It's a smite fight in the pit. A double kill back over to Saint. And the Baron
You're fucking kidding me.
goes to Lyon. The fight goes to Lyon. A triple kill for Saint.
We were up. We won the team fight prior to this. It is a 5v4 in this situation, and then we somehow die. And I will not blame this on Yon. As an ADC myself, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that even I could have those reaction times to be able to dodge that. Now, my question is, how do you get to the point where both Inspired and Saint are within range to be able to immediately get on Yon? The rest of the team splits up, and I have my theory as to why, and it is simply Nocturne. Like, one of our weaknesses that I've noticed in losses is that we tend to split up a little bit, or we're not like concise on where we want to be, and like everybody's kind of on a different page, at least a little bit within some of these fights. And that happened here. You saw two players bot side, Jose and Yon towards the top side. Jose and Yon still on Baron trying to do damage, but obviously with the Nocturne comp, once they turn off the lights, they're able to collapse on you. So if you're not all together and all in sync, it will get very quickly discombobulated, and that's exactly what happened. And they make the play, and then it turns the entire game on its head, which, barring some late game semantics from Yon, which nearly were able to get us the win on this, which didn't, and then led to a pentakill for Berserker, which stung a little bit. Yeah, just I don't, that Baron play, either play it slow or play together, one of the two. But just, they took advantage perfectly of knowing that we would just split up and kind of like have that panic moment that happens whenever Nocturne ends up ulting or the lights go out. Jose already mentioned it earlier in the game that he was like looking at the screens around him, which is very common in pro, but like it seems like we weren't ready for that moment for whatever reason, which is shocking and surprising. Definitely a bit of a worrying sign in my opinion, but we'll deal with it as time goes on. Overall, though, with this series, I'm not all that upset. A loss to Lyon is honestly fine. Like, it's not like we lost to a team below them, and we were in positions to win these games. You still have time to clean it up. It is the regular season, and all should ultimately be fine. But it does take a bit of a damper out of the C9 series now because we lost this. It's not like this as extremely hyped up matchup, but it still very much is, at least to me. So don't let that come as like any sort of knock against it. But yeah, sucks to lose, man. Really does. For Around the Org, 100 Thieves fans that have followed me here and have joined the Team Liquid fandom, you probably have a really good idea of what I'm about to say. If you know me well enough, you know what's coming. And that is, last week, I specifically called out that silence is the enemy of modern social media. Having nothing being said, publishing nothing, or not talking about things, especially when you lose, is the worst possible thing you can do. You want people talking about you at all times, especially when you lose, in my opinion, because that's what makes for good content, and then it makes people want to watch whenever you do go on to win. The fact that no YouTube videos were posted since I last talked about, hey, we should probably get some more stuff on the channel. The fact that the only tweet that has existed on the Team Liquid main account over the last few days, granted, you know, Jinxie tournament's not necessarily within their wheelhouse, but the fact that they wouldn't say anything is more surprising. But even on top of that, we play C9 in just 3 days. And that's one of our biggest modern rivals. Like that, quite frankly, it's my rival, so I care way more about this shit than anybody else does. I get that. But how are you not hyping this up? I get we're not undefeated, but really? You should be having something out every single day leading up to this series. It's incredible that you don't. That's astounding to me. You cannot go through this stretch and not have something ready. Again, we got to get with the times when it comes to content and social media posting. And like, it doesn't have to be slop, but just like give some sort of stat. I fucked up a little bit earlier whenever I tweeted out about how Yon hasn't died in the same way that C9 has no wins. And I completely forgot about the first round lock-in loss, like the 0-2. My bad. So egg on my face on that one. It is what it is. But where is the content? Any of it? Please give me something to work with, because there literally is nothing to talk about around the org whenever nothing is happening and there's no content pieces or anything being put out, barring the interviews, which are like, hey, pros, great, awesome that Jan's on there, but like, dude, give me some org side content as well. That's the bare minimum nowadays. It really is. And also, I'll say this as a follow-up to the whole Jinxie tournament thing. I want to dedicate a full video to that, but at least from an org side, if we are not looking at what happened with this Jinxie tournament and looking at the creators that we have and beyond and saying, could we host some sort of either off-season tournament, in-season, like event or beyond that has Team Liquid's name on it that we are promoting? Like, this is good entertainment. Like, if we are in the content creation space and we are big in League of Legends, you need to have events like this going on throughout the year. Somebody needs to. And one day I hope maybe I can help lead those fronts. Like, obviously similar to like the tag team, but I would love to do like, pickup tournaments. Like, say we get all 40 pros in on a Wednesday, or like 20 pros and 20 content creators that are like low elo, create some sort of stipulation and just have like Wednesday throwdowns or some shit, attach some sort of prize pool onto it. It's great content, and you can put that on the main channel with like the highlights or some of the memeable moments. Like, everything that we saw from this Jinxie tournament is replicable in some way, shape, or form by also bringing in other members of like Team Liquid. Like, I mean, hell, if you want to do it internal, you could bring people from other teams if they're available and beyond. We should be looking at that and seeing how do we apply this philosophy to ourselves and our brand, and also benefit the League of Legends community as a whole, and also bring in new players. And that is something that I want to take steps in. Will I eventually get there? I don't know. Time will tell. But the most important part of this week that we cannot lose focus on, that I know will be talked about to death, but again, it means something else to me, is that I've got a 2-0 record since resetting everything against Cloud9, and I want to build up some buffer room in this series. And I have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but I'm hoping we get there. Now, for what's at stake here, in case you don't know, we can still get first place in the regular season and pick our opponent between the 2, 3, and 4 seeds that would qualify for the upper bracket. We do have to beat Cloud9 here. And I think with our record and the amount of losses that we have to win this series 2-0 to stand a chance of that. Otherwise, even though we have the head-to-head over C9, I think game score, they will probably have an advantage. Lyon is probably going to 2-0 fly if I had to guess. I mean, maybe they don't. But either way, we'll have a 3-way tie between Lyon, us, and C9. We want to put the best foot forward in terms of our game record to try and help solve some of the tiebreakers early on. So a 2-0 here is going to actually be very important. And honestly, I don't think it's all that complicated to get there. I like our matchup personally, stylistically, against C9. For our bot lane, like, again, avoiding the game one, like, moment where you just somehow misplay in a position that you shouldn't have been in. You can't do that against C9. Sven did that exact thing in their series last week where a mistake was made, he punishes, and Sven is the type of player that will catch the ball and absolutely run with it and help you carry a game. But he's not the type to go out of his way to kind of like outplay. And that's where I think we have our advantage and always have, where Jan I just consider to simply be a better ADC. I would argue Vulcan is the better support right now. Again, MVP conversation against Jose. But our bot lane should be able to win this 2v2, or at least not do something that gives them an advantage that they can hold on to. And then we get into mid-game fights and our hands will simply beat them. Like, it really is like that easy in my mind. You need Thanatos to be nullified in the top lane, which Morgan can do. I didn't like the Jax pick from this past week. I don't think we need to see that, because Thanatos will probably win in a carry versus carry matchup if I had to guess, at least on stage right now. Jose versus Blabber is definitely Jose favored at the moment. I don't think anybody's contesting that. But mid lane is one where you do have to look at where Quid did have an off series this past week. And I know this is a continued point of conversation, but one thing I will tell you again, every time he has a bad week, he tends to bounce back. It flip-flops a lot, I know, and it's kind of a pain in the ass at points. And I hope he gets that addressed sometime soon. But at a minimum, I think Quid's due for a good week this week, purely just based on his historical trend. Now, against APA, it hasn't always been great. Obviously lost the lock-in series earlier in the year. In prior iterations, granted the TL roster fell apart, but APA has consistently gotten Quid's number. Just mechanically, though, I think Quid is the better player. He just simply is. And if he shows up on the day, you will see something more similar to Esports World Cup qualifiers, and you will see something closer to when 100 Thieves demolished Team Liquid and everybody, barring FlyQuest last year, in the lead up to Worlds. But I think the biggest thing that you want to watch this series is the mid and late game shot calling for both of these teams, because we struggle for whatever reason in some of those moments in the same exact way that C9 does, where it's like, you got a lead, that we got the ball in our hands, and then you kind of trip over. So just like something happens every game. It's a little bit different each time, but something happens to allow the other team into it. And C9 has benefited from that. Obviously, Lyon benefited from us chucking the ball this past week. I want to see us clean that up in the same way that C9 fans are going to be looking for them to be cleaning that up. I said it last week. I will say it again. Decisiveness. Okay? Play together, especially if you have a comp that needs to ball up together. Play together and protect each other if need be. I don't want to see what happened in that 5v4 Baron fight happen again. Be on the same page, call things out, make sure we're together, and don't allow these angles. This should be the crowning series for Jose's MVP candidacy, as long as everything goes to plan. Just don't let Vulcan hit a 5-man Seraphine, I swear to God. I can't wait for this series, man. Again, we're watching it here in New York. If you want to come join us, I'm still pissed off that the scenery of this is just me in the office. Like, that genuinely pains me. But you know what'll bring me happiness? Beating the shit out of C9. As always. There will never not be a time where that is not enjoyable and entertaining to me. And I pray to God that that streak continues right now. Because that 2-0 better become a 4-0, baby. I don't want anything less. Let's get the dub, baby. Let's go.